Awesome. So to know about how to reduce debts in 2021, the 6 strategies. Quick summarized view before we get to the bottom of each and every one of them. So the number 1 is that know your cash outflow to the last rupee. Number 2, prioritize your debt that needs to be repaid first, and then which is the next debt that you need to repay. Number 3 is that never ever get into the minimum repayment of your credit card. Always make sure that you're in a position to repay it in full. Number 4 is that get into a debt consolidation if you have multiple loans. Number 5 is if you have surprise monies that you receive like a bonus, insurance maturity, or some tax refunds, what do you do with that money? Instead of blowing it out, use 50% of that to really pay up your loan, to repay. When I say repay, it's like in addition to the normal payments that you make. The last strategy that I recommend is that use savings to repay debt. You must be wondering, hey, this guy is like crazy. How can I use my savings to repay the debt? We're gonna get to that a little later and in depth, and you will be perhaps blown out with my calculations. And I will see you there. Welcome to the brand new series called Money Made Easy for You. This particular episode, season 1, talks about how you can reduce your debts in 2021 by applying the 6 strategies that work. Let's first understand what is a debt. A debt, D-E-T-T, okay, debt is any money that you actually have to pay someone. A housing loan, car loan, personal loan, consumer durable loan, your mobile loan, education loan, all are debts. By the way, your credit card outstanding is also a debt. See, typically there are 2 types of debt. One is called an installment debt, next it's called a revolving debt. As the name suggests, installment debt is somewhere where you have to pay back in installments, right? That's why it's also called as EMI, easy monthly installments. Now, revolving debt is where you can actually carry or revolve on a month-to-month basis, and basically, yes, I think you have guessed it right. That's your credit card due. Well, if you are a business owner, there are many other debts apart from your personal debt, right? Creditors that you need to pay money for the purchases of any goods from your suppliers, and any other business payable, salary payable, rent payable, all of these are debts. But that is not what I cover in this particular episode, okay? So we are talking only personal debts here. So if you need help with your restructuring your debt, your business debt, of course, you're free to chat with me at the link given below, okay? Now, remember this and know this. The most dangerous debt in the world is a credit card that is due, which is not yet paid. Strategy number 1, knowing your cash outflow. I mean, know it completely to the last dime, to the last rupee, where your money is going for what. If you don't know where your money is going for what, how will you actually figure out which is the particular spend that you can actually perhaps reduce a little and get that saving out and start repaying towards your loan, right? So number 1 strategy is, first of all, be aware of every spend. How we can actually proceed about that. One is you need to know how much you're actually spending towards your basic expenses. What are those? Rent, groceries, electricity, your internet, Netflix subscription, day-to-day living expenses. How much? And then you need to figure out on a monthly basis how much of your money is going towards all of your installments, the loan repayment installments, the EMIs. Next, you need to understand how much of money that you have to set aside to pay towards your insurance premiums to keep yourself, your family, your spouse, your children, your parents, in-laws, everyone safe, both life and health. Next is how much are you actually spending towards your children. It's a big expenses. In case if you're married and if you have children, you got to take care of their schooling, you got to take care of the birthday parties they have with their friends. You have to keep aside for their perhaps school transport, right? And maybe pocket money for them, so that you can actually start teaching them how to use the pocket money in a way you're teaching them the cash management principles. Yeah. Next is how you need to assess how much is being spent towards a very important category of eating out, yeah, and how much you're spending for socializing. Though it's they say they maintain social distancing maybe now, but look at the overall picture. not just the COVID phase, but overall, what has been your pattern and what is it changing? You will understand. You'll start understanding an average of how much you're spending towards your eating out, buying snacks, party, or all those things. See, these are the spends that can be possibly reduced. Do not avoid them. You got to have a good balance of life, but see what you can reduce. You know what? By doing this activity, you will actually start getting a extremely good clarity of your own pattern of spending. Your own pattern of spending. From this, take a real practical look at which are those outflows that can perhaps be reduced by just 5% or even can go up to even 10%. For example, if your pattern has been that every month, for recreation and eating out and ordering online, all these things together is perhaps around 10,000 rupees that you're spending. Okay, then see if you can actually save 10% out of it. Make a budget to for this particular category at 9,000. Once you set it at 9,000, that 1,000 rupees actually start saving. This particular money you're going to start towards repayment of your debt. By the way, again, let me repeat, when I say repayment, your normal monthly installments will still continue. That is your repayment anyway. This is called an additional payment. Okay, additional payment towards your debt. That is how you will see the power of compounding working, where you start repaying even if 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees every month towards your existing loan. Then maybe the tenure of your loan will start coming down drastically, or number of EMIs will be reduced for you. Okay, let's move on to strategy number 2. So coming to strategy number 2 is prioritizing which debt has to be repaid. Look, it's very simple. Priorities of debt are different for every individual. Okay, so no one strategy fits all. However, based on the below recommendation that I'm going to read out now, you may alter the strategy as a little bit that deems fit for you. Okay. Now, what is the strategy that needs to be used when you have some money that you have to start making additional payments towards your debt? Okay. Number one is clear off all of your credit cards until the outstanding is 0. Okay. Number two is stop using your credit card until your income has increased by at least 20%. Then number 3 is repay the personal loan next, because personal loan carries much higher interest rate than any other loan. Then repay any other loan which is above 10% interest rate. Action number 5, or the strategy number 5 within this debt prioritization is that start repaying towards the housing loan, because housing loan generally comes with a lower rate of interest compared to every other loan. Okay, and now what I want you to do is that ask for a free debt repayment calculator. Okay, all you have to do is click on the link below. You can chat with me. It's an automated chat bot, but I will be personally reviewing your chat. Okay, just click on the link below and ask for that free debt repayment calculator. It will be of ultimate use to you. Very, very, very important to note is that if you have any EMI that has been unpaid, maybe due to COVID, or for whatever reason, if there is any default of loan or any credit card outstanding for a long time, right, there are chances that your CIBIL scoring may get grossly affected by it. It might reduce. And what's going to happen because of that is that your future credibility and future loan taking capacity would be reduced. Maybe they might still give you a loan, but it will be at a higher rate, because they might consider you as a higher risk. So if you have any of those loans that is in default, whatever I spoke about the top 5 before, the 5 strategies of repayment, the order of priority, chuck everything. Go ahead and first repay those loans which have been outstanding for a long time. Then these 5 will start kicking in. Please make sure all the time your credit history remains positive. Yeah, stay positive. We will move to the strategy number 3. Strategy number 3 is that never ever get into the mode of making minimum payments towards your credit card. I will explain to you why that's going to lead you to getting into a debt whirlpool. Okay, so take a look at this. Let's say, for example, there is a credit card that you have, and the limit is like 50,000 rupees. How much? 50,000 rupees. This is what I have mentioned out here. Yeah, and in month 1, you have swiped for 20,000 rupees to purchase something. What happens if the balance is 20,000 rupees? But let's say if you go ahead and do a minimum repayment of 1,000 rupees, what's going to happen is that you end up paying interest of 760 rupees because they charge you 4% interest, my friend. 4% per month. That's like 48% per year. So the come up your balance will be 19,760. How? 20,000 minus 1,000 rupees you have paid. So balance has been 19,000. Plus to this they add interest of 760. So 19,760. Then in month 2 what happens? Let's say that 19,760 is the opening balance for you. And you are asked to pay minimum 5% of the total outstanding. That will be around 988 rupees. Let's say 1,000 bucks. Okay. Again, that's gonna charge you 751 rupees. So your closing balance will still be 19,523. Then third month, let's say you swipe the card for another 15k. So totally the balance is 34,523. And you're still servicing the minimum payment. And again, 5% works out to 1,726. Again, they charge you 1,300. Like this, the story continues. So in the 6 months time period, if you have not cleared, in this example, for the amount of swipe that you made 40,000 bucks, you have anyway paid 9,266 back to the credit card banker, issuer. But still there's an outstanding of 37,776, even though you have paid 9,000, which means you end up paying 47,000 overall, which is like close to paying 7,000 bucks interest in just 6 months time. It hurts, man. It really hurts. Don't do that. Many of us actually hold more than one credit card, is it not? We use this for various purposes. Shopping, purchase of a gadget, household necessities, etc. See, the basic purpose of a credit card is to actually earn points, right? Not pay interest. You see, it's very simple. When you buy something using your credit card, you're doing it actually by choice. Instead of paying by cash or by swiping your debit card or by maybe using the UPI payments. Of course, you can clear the balance in a little later, let's say in 45 days time. See, that's a benefit that credit card companies are giving you the time. So remember that if you're swiping your credit card for purchasing, let's say for example, 9,000 rupees to shop for your clothes, it's a good practice that you keep that 9,000 rupees aside in a bank, in a savings account, so that by 41st day after you swipe, you actually repay that in full. You get the full benefits of the credit card plus you earn points. When you don't repay in full and when you get into a small minimum payment, that's a dangerous situation. Why? Because you end up paying 36 to 48% per year interest as compared to the most expensive personal loan, which works out to let's say 14 or 19%. Dude, you do the math. Yeah. So, but if you still actually have issues in repayment of your credit card balance in full, I have a hint. Come closer. The hint is convert all of your credit card outstanding into EMIs. That is way better than making the minimum repayment. Although not the best of the advice that you might get, it's way better than actually making a minimum repayment on your card and paying interest at the rate of 48%. I hope that has actually got drilled, and we're going to go to the strategy 4. The strategy number 4, debt consolidation. If you are someone who has more than 3 or 4 loans, different amounts at different interest rates, and with or without a combination of credit card, then it makes sense that you go for a debt consolidation. What it really means is that let's take a look at this mind map I would like to share with you. Okay, what it really means is this. So, debt consolidation, what it really means is that you just take one single loan instead of all of them and repay off all the other loans. Okay, any of your bankers will definitely assist you when you want to go for consolidation. If not, if you would like to know more about how to proceed with that, you can always click on the link and get in touch with me. I'm going to help you with your debt restructuring. I promise you that. Next would be, if you understand, if let's say you have a credit card debt of 50,000 rupees, what's going to happen is that you end up paying interest at the rate of 36 to 48%, my friend. But you know what? By just going for debt consolidation, what's going to happen is that you end up paying interest just 12 to 14%. Yeah, this is what I explained in the strategy number 3 as well. Yeah, so it makes sense that you go for debt consolidation because You'll not have the headache of managing multiple loans and a repayment of one loan on a different date and different EMI dates and different interest rate, and you will be confused which one do I have to which has a higher rate of interest, which has a lower rate of interest. Correct? So it does make sense that we go for the consolidation. Next is that you will actually end up coming out of the debt much sooner, let alone get sucked into and stuck in the debt whirlpool. Having said that, let's straight away jump into our strategy number 5. See ya. Strategy number 5, how to use surprise monies to actually clear off your debts. Before we understand what surprise money really is, let's say if you are in receipt of some money that you've never expected. Do you know this? 79% of Indians just blow that money out. Okay? But if you follow the method that I'm going to show you, you will actually have a good balance of life where you will also save, where you'll also invest, where you'll also repay and clear off your loans, and you'll also have fun. Would you like that? Yeah? Let's straight away get in there and take a look at how to do that. Okay, so strategy number 5 is this: using surprise monies to close your loans. Let me expand this a little. Let's see, is it really legible or not? Yes, I think so. Okay, good. Okay, so using surprise monies to close your loans. What are those? Let's understand what are the surprise monies. Number 1, it can be your bonus that you receive. Yearly bonus, quarterly bonus, sales bonus, whatever bonus you get in extra, that's a surprise money. Next is if you're in receipt of a gratuity. See, these are all the capital in nature, in the sense they're not recurring, they're like one-time wonders, right? So these are the surprise monies. Next is a tax refund, okay? And any old money recovered in your business, there might be some old money that has come in, it's a surprise money, yeah? And then family money, in case if someone has left a legacy behind for you. Then comes the insurance maturity. These are in case if you find anything else which you feel should be included in the surprise money, please feel free to comment below and put in something which you have. It's a unique that you have actually experienced in your life. I'd be happy to learn that from you. Okay. Now, when you receive these monies, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with this surprise money? The method is very simple. 10%. You see, like a phase which is not very pleasant. Why? Because this is exactly what will happen during emergencies in our lives. That's exactly why we got to keep aside 10% of whatever you receive as your bonus or your surprise money. Use it to add on to your already existing emergency fund. If you have not yet created, then it makes sense for you to start maintaining that. Let's say if you are in receipt of bonus of 2 lakhs, then 10% of the 20,000 rupees, create a separate fund called it as an emergency fund. My recommendation is that you go ahead and open up a cash management fund or a liquid fund in a mutual fund. Like HDFC Cash Management Fund is a good one. Yeah. Next strategy is 30%. 30% you got to invest. Whatever you receive, 30%, invest that money for any of the 9 financial goals you may have. If you're not clear about those 9 financial goals, again, as I usually say, click on the link, get in touch with me. Me and you can work together for a fantastic and a fabulous financial life for you. Then 50% of whatever you receive as surprise money, you're going to use it towards repayment of debt. Based on the strategies too that I had actually shown, which debt to be repaid first, I had spoken, right? So use that, but 50% of this. Let's say in this example, I gave 2 lakhs. 1 lakh you're going to use for repayment of debt. In that 1 lakh, 50,000 perhaps clear off your credit card. Balance 50,000, you see which are the loans that you can actually make an additional repayment for based on the priority of strategy number 2. Then the last one is a happy one, right? There's a lot of green and jingles and all that. That means what? It's celebration. This is where you are permitted to go and splurge, buy whatever you want. So, but the maximum is 10% of whatever surprise money that you have received, only so much. Or rather, that might be good enough for you to spend towards whatever you like. Maybe you want to buy something for your kids. Maybe you want to just call all of your friends and throw a party. Okay, any of those things. So just remember one thing: if you manage this, You don't not only clearing your loans faster, you're not only investing your money, you're not only creating and preparing for your emergencies, right? And you're not only that you're actually having fun. It's just that culmination of all these things will actually let you actually have a good balanced approach. Okay, let's move on to the next strategy. The strategy number 6, using your own savings or investments to repay your debts. Is there a laughter in your head when you heard this? Join me, because that's exactly what I went through when I heard this for the first time. I used to wonder, why will I take out my own money savings and repay the loan when the bank is giving me the loan? Don't you agree? Don't you? Look, the concept is very simple. Whenever you borrow from someone, the interest that you pay is always higher than putting this money somewhere and interest that you earn. Payment is higher than what you receive. So it makes sense to use your money first. Let's take an example of a housing loan. Okay, let's take an example of a housing loan and let's check how this analysis really works. Yeah. So allow me an option to show my mind map again. Yeah. Good. I think this is too big. Okay. This is better. Good. Strategy number 6 is to using your investments or savings to pay off the debt. Now, if at all we are talking about a loan that you have borrowed, a housing loan, an example where you borrowed, let's say 50 lakhs, and it's for a 20 years time period. How many? 20 years. What I would say is break it down into 3 parts. Divide it by 3. 20 years divided by 3. The number of years divided by 3. So first 7 years, next 7 years, maybe the last 6 years, just to round it off. Don't make it like 6.6. Instead, keep it 7, 7 and 6. So the first 7 years are called as phase 1. What happens in phase 1 is that the amount of interest that you actually start making a payment towards in your EMI. Let's say in 50 lakhs, EMI is 45,000 rupees. Out of the 45,000, in the first 7 years, the component of interest in that EMI, for example, that 45,000 rupees is nothing but principal, some portion of principal plus interest together is 45,000. So in this first 7 years, the principal portion is very less. Interest portion is very high. That's why during the first 7 years, you pay a lot of interest, even though you're making a normal EMI payment. This is the point where my advice is that see if you can make additional monthly or quarterly installments from your savings during this phase. Yeah, because you end up actually saving a lot of interest that you pay towards the loan. Now let's take a look at phase 2. Phase 1 was first 7 years, right? Phase 2 also is the next 7 years, next tranche. During this time also, your interest and principal might kind of come to a point where it equates. So at this point as well, it makes sense that you see if you can start repayment, extra additional payment towards your loan from your savings. Of course, not everything is like a perfect mathematics. We can work on an individual calculations for you, what suits you, but I'm just telling you a funda, okay, a baseline that you need to understand. Even during this second phase, it makes sense to make additional payments towards your loan versus investing. But of course, if you found an avenue of investing, which is stock market or maybe Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, right? That is a call that you need to take. But theoretically, this works better that you start repayment towards your housing loan. In this example that I've given you. During this last phase, however, balance years in this example, 6 years, last 6 years, the amount of interest in the EMI component is very less and the amount of principal in the EMI component is very high. That's why it makes sense that you continue making the normal EMI payments than actually using it for any additional prepayment or repayment or additional payment. In this case, it makes sense to invest that money rather than going ahead and using that for your prepayment of your loan. So I hope these 6 strategies have been found useful by you, and I hope you find a place to actually put these in action. You can always get in touch with me. We can work together to put your finances and your debts on the right track. Okay. To your financial fitness, Vivji here. Watch out for my next episode season 1 episode 2, where we're going to get in-depth calculation, and I'm going to prove to you why a prepayment towards your loan is way better than repaying via normal EMIs. How many number of years you'll save against your loan, how much of number of EMIs you might actually end up saving, how much of interest that you will actually end up saving by using this methodology that I'm going to talk to you in the next episode. Until then, signing out. Bye. Take care.